When? What is going on?
Busy, busy, busy.
You know what? Nothing wrong with that.
Nope.
You got a great show lined up tonight. I'm really looking
Yes.
forward to the conversation. I was just up picking up some equipment and stuff so we can kind of discuss my guest opinions on said equipment. It's going to be very interesting, but I will give out a disclaimer real quick that my guest views may not necessarily be those of the All Access Network. Okay, his views and your views may differ, but we will not tolerate hate comments. We will not tolerate bashing of my guest. If you bash my guest, you will be removed. As simple as that. Point blank, period, is he's got a lot of knowledge. And I love what he does. And I think he has a different mindset of thinking when it comes to the equipment that we use and how you can logically, look at things from a different aspect. This is part of the reason I wanted him as a guest. And I followed this man for a very long time. And I know he knows what he's talking about. So tonight, our guest is Mr. Kenny Biddle. And he, like, bar none, is one of my favorite people in the paranormal because of his mindset.
I'm blushing.
I'm just being honest with you, brother.
Oh, man, I appreciate what you were saying, man. That means a lot to me. It really does. There's so much. I want to say like negativity towards someone with a skeptical take in the paranormal community, and it's nice and refreshing to hear people like yourself say things like that because it tells me that I'm making an impact. And that's good. That makes me happy. So thank you.
Oh, you definitely are. And man, there's no need for thanks. Like when I sit down and I watch some of the TikTok stuff that you've done recreations on, or when I ask questions on the Skeptical Help Bar, which we'll get into that later, or you're not technically the Skeptical Help Bar podcast, but your TikToks on Tuesday.
Right.
The way you explain things is absolutely astounding to me because I can't name another person that would sit there and explain it down to where I'm like, okay, that logically makes sense to me. But that's what I love is you go off of logic and facts, not theory.
So I like to explain things the way I would like them to be explained to me. I grew up being a underachiever. I was not great in school. I didn't learn a lot. I didn't pay attention. I had trouble paying attention. I struggled a lot because I had to get like after school tutors and stuff like that to get me through some of the classes, especially math. Forget it. Like numbers give me a headache if I have to do anything with numbers. That's why I married an accountant.
Can I interrupt you to give you a strange fact about myself?
Sure.
I cannot do simple math, but I can do calculus and trigonometry in my head.
Damn.
So can I. When
I
I
mean,
had to, yeah, it was crazy.
If you give me simple division, I can't do it.
I was terrible at it. I mean, now it's weird because sometimes I do that. I do these calculations in my head because it's part of my job where I have to figure out quickly a solution to something so I can put an experiment in place. And boom, 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 and all of a sudden I got an answer, and I was like, I have no freaking clue how I got that.
Right.
But I think this is going to work. It also helps doing crafts and stuff. I do a lot of through my careers. I've been in automotive, I've been in aerospace, and always hands-on mechanical work. So I've always been having to do measurements, making sure everything lines up perfectly. So it's just routine, doing it practically throughout the years helped me understand how to do it. So for me, I always struggled with understanding.
Hey, Dave, I see you.
The what? Oh, okay.
Oh, I was responding to somebody. Sorry.
I had trouble understanding concepts and how things worked. I needed to be shown. So as long as you could show me, if you can walk me through it, and I can get my hands on it and get dirty that way, then I can understand it. So I try to translate that into everything that I do. When I put out information, I want to make sure that someone like me can understand it.
Yeah.
No, I wasn't trying to interrupt. My son is up kind of late. I just saw Brittany May comment, said, "Hi, Daddy." That wasn't Brittany commenting, "Hi, Daddy." That was my son.
Hey, Daddy.
Hey, little bit.
Hey, buddy. I'm glad you're watching. So Kenny, let me ask you, for the people out there who have never heard of Kenny Biddle before, who are you when it comes to the paranormal field? It's kind of like a loaded question as far as like the Center for Inquiry and stuff like that. Like,
Okay.
what is your ultimate objective?
So, wow, that's a couple questions there. So
It is.
basically who I am is I'm a skeptical investigator. So my title here is Chief Investigator of Paranormal Claims. That's the full title. That's what I was hired to do. For decades now, I've been investigating weird claims, not just ghost stories in a haunted house, but UFO sightings, alien sightings, monster sightings, once in a while, like a religious mystery here and there, like like weeping statues and stuff like that. So I started looking into that. I was doing my own channel. I was writing blogs, and then I started freelancing for Skeptical Inquirer magazine, which is what I write for here. They liked the work that I was doing. They offered me more. They offered me a paid column, which was, that's great. I could do this and make some money on the side, which also went back into doing investigations. I just reinvested it. And the further along I got, the more that they enjoyed what I was doing. And the person that had this job before me, Joe Nickel, he had been doing it for probably about 50 years.
Oh, wow.
Over 50 years. Yeah. This is all he did, this kind of work.
That's like Hans Halser level.
Joe was really into it. I mean, he did everything from historical document authentication. He did fingerprint analysis, but he also got into a lot of the alleged, he did a lot with miracles. He traveled a lot. He was hired by the church once in a while to inspect things from a skeptical point of view. So he got around.
I like it.
But for me, it's as soon as he retired, they offered me this job, and I came in and started doing this. So this is, I take a skeptical approach. I like to understand what's going on. And I always want to explain, like, just because I'm labeled a skeptic doesn't mean I'm an a-hole. Just understand that. I'm not telling everyone all your beliefs are false. All your beliefs are silly. That's not my job. That's not my place. I'm saying that if you put a claim out there that's based on a belief, it's open to criticism. And I want to know the truth. I'm not going to take your word for it. I don't care who you are. Ask my wife. I do that to her all the time. She tells me something. She's like, they say. And I'm like, who's they? What when you say they say, who are you talking about?
Who is they?
Yeah, like, where's my phone? Let me look this up. Give me a name. So we go through it. I want to make sure that I understand what's going on. I want to look at everything, all the little details, because people make mistakes and
they do
overlook things. And I'm not saying people are stupid. I'm not saying ghost hunters are dumb. I'm not saying people that call themselves paranormal investigators are just not good or qualified or anything. I'm saying everyone makes mistakes. So maybe I'll see something that you missed the first time. Or maybe I have experience in something that you don't. So I'll notice something when you won't. And it's not a slight against anyone else. It's just, I'm going to bring this to the table because I have a lot of experience specifically with this kind of work. So
here's the thing for me. If you notice a discrepancy and you want to further said field, whether it be paranormal research, alien research, whatever you're into, right? If you notice a slight discrepancy, it is technically your responsibility to bring that to the forefront, to ask the question.
Right. If you're going to call yourself an investigator, this is part of your job. This is a responsibility that you take on. Especially, and we can get into this later if you want to, but especially if you are going into someone's home, there's a crap ton of responsibility that goes with that. And for the most part, amateur groups are not qualified to do that.
They are not.
Should not be doing that, because there's a lot of danger. You
That's
can cause
true.
a lot of damage, emotionally, psychologically. There's a lot of damage that can be done by going in when you're not qualified to do that.
I agree with that 150%. Because what I do is I typically do residential cases. That is like 95% of what I do. If I go and do like, a very mainstream location, it's a good chance I was invited to go there. But I deal with residential cases. There's a lot of things that people don't realize that go into that. You got the questioning of the people. You want to make sure that they're mentally sound. That you want to make sure there is so much that people don't realize. And then when they go in and just do it nonchalant, it causes more issues than what the person had before.
Right. And you need to understand that if you're not qualified to offer counseling or diagnose or treat any kind of mental health issues, if there's any inclination that there could be a problem, you need to remove yourself from that situation.
Touching on what you just said, Kenny, can I go into the difference real quick between qualified and certified?
Qualified and certified. So
Because
I guess
so many people out there take these internet courses and they are certified for something, right? Here's the thing. I work in a bridge building company, okay? I can take the certification to run a crane, an overhead crane, a 40-ton crane all day long. But does that mean that I'm qualified to do it just because I have the certification to say that I have completed the course? No, that's not the case. Because there's many different pick points. There's many different weight points. You have to know the center point so you can properly space out the cranes to properly pick. So, in theory, if you are taking these online courses and you become a certified and whatever, just because you're certified doesn't mean you're qualified to do the field work because you've never physically done it.
Right. You need the experience to back it up.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I agree. You can go to school and learn everything you need to do, but if you don't apply it practically under supervision, you need to gain that experience. So
Exactly.
Same way. In aerospace, I was trained on using the we had a 20-ton crane for moving the aircraft around, but our training was not only the knowledge behind the use and the buttons and the safety protocols, but practical use. We went out with one of the representatives and they trained us on how to use it, how to lift, where to put the lift points, all this. So I understood where everything was going, and we still had to be supervised.
And so people who watch the podcast that have nothing to do with cranes, I knew that Kenny would understand when he said aerospace, that pick points, angles, like it all makes a difference.
Right. I mean,
hey, you guys, a lot of people are trying to say, hey, what are you guys talking about tonight? Can you, real quick, for the people that popped in a little late, tell them? Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah.
Did you hear me?
Yeah, well, you were kind of broken up, but I kind of heard you. So tonight we're talking to Kenny Biddle about basically the internal look at paranormal stuff, like as far as having a skeptical mindset to where you can take this equipment, break it apart, because Kenny does do that.
Yeah.
And then he rebuilds it and he tells you physically how it works. So this is basically the Paranormal Unveiled Skeptical Help Bar is what this is.
Yeah, and getting back to the idea of like being qualified and certified. I mean, you can take courses, and I've taken plenty of courses, photography, video, stuff like that, and you get certified in little things. But you also have to consider, what does that mean? What does that certification mean? What is it by an independent small like I can offer a certification. I can say, look, I'll train you on what I do, and I'll certify you in my method of investigation. It doesn't mean crap to anyone else.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't. So you have to look at this. I mean, I have one of the things that I usually put out on my table when I table at events, when I have a booth set up.
I agree, Christy.
I have licenses and certifications that I got online, ordinations from different churches that say, now I can do this. I'm a priest with this church. I'm a priest with that church. I have a certification up on my wall for one. I have one credentials for parapsychologist, which took me 2 happy hours to get through. It was supposed to be like 50 hours or 100 hours of coursework, and 2 happy hours. So I was drinking, and I skipped all the work, and I just went right to the tests, and I passed with 99.9%. I got honors on that, and that was an online course.
And see, that is the great thing, because to my knowledge, the only time that a physical degree for parapsychology was ever offered was the University of Southern California in 1977. And it was only offered for 1 year. I actually had the textbooks in my library. So that was the only year they ever offered it. But once again, that's really not an accredited, degree. So you can have all these certifications that you want, but when it comes down to it, do you really know what you're doing? Do you know what you're looking for? Do you know the internal mechanics of the equipment that you're using? Have you taken it apart? Have you looked at it? Have you figured out what each specific mechanic within said piece of equipment does?
Right. And you need to get into that. Whenever you have scientists that are performing experiments, they're designing an experiment. So they design the protocols, they know what equipment they need. Sometimes they have to create equipment. They hire a company. A friend of mine who has, he's a biologist, and I forget the other, he has 2 degrees, but he works for a company that makes equipment per design protocols. So other companies reach out to him and say, we're doing this experiment. We need this machine or this kind of contraption, and they build it. So it's built to specs, it's tested, it's made sure that it works. And the people that they are selling it to or making it for are then taught exactly what it does and how it works. And that is the main problem with most of this community when it comes to equipment, because they don't know how it works. They don't understand it. And when you go by TV, like you see on TV, blinky lights, little beeps, noises, alarms, and it's automatic.
I do like blinky lights.
Right. And what does that mean? Like for me, I want to know, what does that mean? I want to know why that went off. I want to know what else can make that go off. If you're just putting a piece of equipment in the middle of a floor of a room and saying, light it up. If it lights up, it's a ghost. You have no idea how to do science.
Good example. And now we're going to get into the heavy shit. Good example.
Oh, boy.
So, and I know you're going to recognize what one of these are, I hope. Motion censored music box.
Yes.
Yeah.
The coffee.
So, yes, I have one. Do I trust it? No, I absolutely do not. Because as you proved, and I believe it was in a TikTok video, metallic reverberations can cause these to go off.
So those, so the TikTok video, I think, was done for an ultrasonic sensor. That should be a PIR sensor.
Okay. So I don't know what kind of sensor that I'll be honest, I don't know what kind of sensor this has.
All right. I can tell you what it is. So if you look, show the front of that. Tilt it down. There you go. So what we're looking at right there, that is the front lens of a PIR sensor, which means passive infrared sensor. And it basically looks at the environment and looks at the temperature of the environment. And it's looking through 2 slits. And if it sees any difference between the 2 views, if it sees a difference in temperature, it sets off the alarm. So it's not actually looking at movement per se, it's looking at difference in temperatures. So
really,
and the weird thing is that if you have an environment where, like, you have a wall that's 50 degrees, okay, it measures 50 degrees, that's what it's seeing it, and you have two boxes that are against the wall that also are seen as 50 degrees, you can move those boxes back and forth, and that sensor won't go off because it's not looking for motion. It's looking for a difference in temperature. So,
Y'all, this is exactly why I wanted this man on my podcast. He just taught me something.
now if those boxes are 40 degrees and you have a 10-degree difference and one moves, now it's going to see a 40-degree object go in front of a 50-degree object, and that's your temperature difference. The alarm goes off. So there you go.
I had no idea.
It's amazing when you get into the science behind it and really understand what's going on. Because I mean, if you don't have this background knowledge on that's the basic design. That's the basic.
Jameson, excuse me, Kenny. Jameson, you're just making random comments, buddy.
Yeah.
But no, like I had no idea about the type of sensor that was in that device. This is exactly why I wanted you on my podcast, because you just taught me something. Let me tell you guys something. I have almost 20 years investigating the paranormal. But here's the thing. I don't know everything.
Mm-hmm.
If you are unwilling to learn, adapt, and listen to other people, then what are you doing here?
Right. That is what you described is the definition of being closed-minded, because people will have they're set in their ways. They already think that they know everything, and that's a problem. Like
it is.
And for many of the people that I do work with, we know enough to know there's so much more that we don't know. That's why we want to keep learning. That's why we keep learning about all this stuff. And we take, you shut up, side-eye guy. I see your comment.
I also saw my son's comment, and nobody's talking about now. He thought I was going to turn the music box on. The music box music scares him.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I got you. I was wondering.
What's the theme?
I'm going to turn it on. Jameson, cover your ears.
Cover your ears. Oh yeah,
that's good creepy music for a doll to just like sit up and start walking around.
I felt like it was perfect for what I wanted, so
that's awesome.
So I have a question for you, Kenny, if you don't mind, Nate.
Sure. No,
go ahead. You're the co-host. You ask whatever you want.
Oh, I'm listening and I'm paying attention because I'm trying to learn about the equipment also. Now I like to try new equipment just because I'm curious. It's just how it is, like a lot of folks. But, there's a lot of crap. There's some decent. What would you recommend if you were actually investigating some?
So what I recommend depends on the claims being made.
Okay.
I don't really, there's not too many that are catch-all equipment that I would take to everything. There are some. I take my camera. I take a camera so I can take pictures of the area. I usually take a 360 camera so I can get a 360 view of the entire room for each room.
I've never done that. I love that aspect.
Yeah, I because that gives you a clearer view. So now I can go back to my computer here and I can look all the way around and see if anything.
I just walk through and sketch the location on paper. I mean, I love that aspect.
I spin around. If that's good or bad, I spin around from the middle of the room and then I go around and take. Anyway, that's my way.
So 360 camera.
I would recommend that when you do use just a camera, I go into all four corners. And I usually go in the corner, hold it up high, and take a wide angle view from each corner. That way we get everything. There's nothing in the middle that might be hidden. That's why I use a 360 camera, because you put it on the monopod in the middle of the room and walk out and it gets everything, which is great.
Yes.
I love that.
I take a notepad. I have a notebook everywhere. I have notebooks everywhere because I always fill them out. I write everything down. I usually take a spirit level with me because I want to make sure the floor is level, doors are level, anything, door frames, window frames, whatever. Stairs are a big thing, especially when
Yes.
weirdo is out there.
Yeah.
To understand how a level works. And then like I have a kit that I bring with me that has like luminol, just in case there's a claim that there's blood around. We can try to test for that. I have fingerprint powder that I take with me now, because if there's a claim that a door opens by itself, I like to close the door. I wipe it clean, make sure the door is actually latched, and then I put fingerprint powder on it after it allegedly opens, and that tells me that you grabbed it. So stuff like that. That's usually what I take, and I have like containers for samples just in case that we find something and I'm not sure what it is. I can put it into a plastic container and seal it, and then have it tested at a lab.
So now I don't feel like as much of a weirdo because I have a level in my paranormal case.
Absolutely. I mean,
I have one that's about that long that I got at a home show, and it actually works really well.
Now I don't feel like as such of a weirdo, and this is why I love the way that Kenny thinks. This is why I wanted him on the show.
I got you. So what do you think about Polaroid cameras?
So Polaroids have issues on their own. So describe what you do when you take a photo. What do you do with the Polaroid?
Most people wave it. You're not supposed to do
I
that.
don't wave mine. I don't wave mine. I was taught by a photographer way young and good, bad, or whatever. I just lay it down. I try to lay, honestly.
So because I'm a big photography nerd, so I have but I have my Polaroid camera.
How should we do it?
Actually, Kenny, I need to send you pictures of my 1934 8mm film projector.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. I have a few up here. So basically, I don't trust Polaroid cameras. They're good. I grew up with them. They're good for memories and stuff like that. But if they're not handled right, there could be a problem. So yes, as you guys mentioned, you don't shake them. You don't shake them like a Polaroid picture. That is just
regardless of what Outcast tells you. Regardless of what Outcast tells you, you do not shake them like a Polaroid picture.
I'm trying to find one that I can show. I don't want to. So when these come out, of the camera, the chemical pack is down here. This is what comes out first, okay? Because when you expose the film, this comes out between two steel rollers. It squeezes the chemical pack and spreads the chemicals across the image. So when people shake it, they're shaking all the chemicals down to one end. All right, so it's not going to develop right. Another issue with these is that they're very sensitive to UV light. So that's why you have to keep them covered for about 10 minutes, at least 10 minutes, before you can even look at them. I mean, I look at them throughout, but as long as I'm keeping it like this, I look, okay, great. But keep them out of direct sunlight, because if you flip them over like this and it gets any kind of light, it's going to overexpose.
Yes, it's a self-developing picture. Basically, it's a dark room built into a photograph.
It is. It's ingenious. I mean, it's really ingenious. And the earlier models were just amazing. I still use them. I still use Polaroid cameras. I have my original rainbow stripe camera that I use, and I love it.
I have a pink one.
I have the pink one.
I have one that rolls out. Do you know what I'm talking about? The really old ones that roll out?
Yes. Yeah. I have the first Polaroid 95. I have that. That's the first Polaroid camera that was released.
That might be it. It rolls out and it's beige. Is that it?
Huge and heavy.
Yes.
Yeah. There were several. There's several models. If I show you if we go to break or we have a minute, I can run over and grab some. But
if you want to go and grab it, Kenny. Me and her can hold it down till you come back.
Yeah, we can hold it down.
I also don't trust them because if you pick them up like this, if you hold it, if you crease it, it's going to create anomalies in the image.
Exactly.
So that's why there's too much involved, and we already know too many people claim to be or assume the title of being a photography expert, even though they have no experience except for pushing a button, a point and shoot. So I don't really put too much trust in them. They're cool to look at, but there are issues with them. So,
Oh yeah.
So can I ask you, since
Sure.
we're on the topic of Polaroids, can I ask you, like, when Polaroids were first invented, and then over the years, so many people have had these pictures come out with said ghost writing. What is your opinion on that, and how could it physically be done as far as faking it?
So you can scratch on the back of these. You can use a blunt object. It doesn't have to be like a sharp object. You can use a blunt object like like the end of a toothpick or something like that. That won't necessarily cause a mark, but as it's developing, again, it's because the developing chemicals are in there and actively developing it. If you put pressure on anywhere,
They're gonna stray away from it.
yes, and you're gonna have these areas where it's not fully developed. And if you've ever seen a Polaroid slide that has not been developed, it's white. So you're going to have that where it's not developed, and it's going to show up as a white scratching, and that's what it is. I mean, that's all the writing that you see is usually scratching, and that's it. And there's no accountability for that Polaroid film. You're seeing the after effect. You're seeing when it's all done. We need to see the entire process. For something like that, we need to know the chain of custody. From the moment you press the shutter button to it popping out, to it's laid down on a desk or a table, and guard it before you turn it over. If you don't have control over that, you can't trust the picture.
I agree.
Right.
So
can I ask you, Kenny, like, what is your opinion? Because I know we actually kind of touched on this on your Skeptical Help Bar on TikToks. What is your opinion on REM pods? Because so many people put so much stock into them. I personally think they're pieces of crap equipment.
So I guess this is going to be a rhetorical question because not everyone can answer, but like, why? Why are they being used? One of the problems we have when we look at this from more of a skeptical scientific point of view is if you're going to test for something, if you're going to do an experiment and use a piece of equipment, there needs to be a reason for the use of that equipment. So what's the use of that equipment? What's the use of the REM pod?
They're basically taking a Junior Thermain kit, repackaging it, and making it look fancy.
Right. So you can go online, you can find the Junior Thermain kit.
$20.
Yeah, $20. Put it together. If you have any kind of experience with electrical, with soldering, you can have it together within 20 minutes or a half hour. And boom, there you go. You got one for yourself. It does not, like, there's a common belief that it creates this electromagnetic field around the antenna. It does not.
It does not.
It does not. I don't have, oh man, do I have? I don't know. I don't think I have the pictures. But I had, no, I don't. I just did a presentation last weekend that went over a whole bunch of pieces of equipment. The top 9, it was going to be the top 10 ghost hunting equipment gadgets, but the 10th one was a dowsing rod, and I didn't feel like going into that. But I did the REM pod, and I had it on the desk here. I had it on, and I had 4 EMF meters, all on different axes. So the X, Y, Z axis, so 3 rotations all around it while it was on, and all of them were 0. No field whatsoever, no field measurement whatsoever. The only time any of the EMF meters went off was when I put the one straight down in the center, and that's because the speaker is right there and it's got a little magnet in it. That's what was making it off. So it's not creating this.
I agree with that comment.
It's a capacitor. They are capacitors. So when you get close, you are something that's grounded, and you're getting close to the when you get close to the REM pod, you're one side of the capacitor, the REM pod is the other side of the capacitor, and the air in between is where you're trying to store this electrical energy from the battery, and that's what powers the music and the lights. So as you get closer, it squeezes out more power, and that's why the tone goes up. But it's not an indication that there's ghost, because there is no reason. We have no reason to validate the use of a capacitor to find a ghost.
I concur.
All right.
So can I ask you, what kind of EMF detectors did you have set up around it?
So I didn't bring it over. I have.
Well, you don't have to bring it over. Just from memory, what kind of EMF detectors?
So I had man, what is it? Let me see. Let me look it up real quick. I had the black case one, EMF meters.
In the tri-field?
I didn't have the tri-field because I specifically didn't use that because I wanted to have all three axes. Because when you're dealing with EMF meters, the tri-field measures all three axes at the same time and gives you the average reading.
Right, and that's the reason I was asking, because you have so many ghost hunters out there that like they are 100% dependent on the K2. They love the K2, but they don't realize the K2 is a single axis meter. It only detects 140 degrees on the front side. You can't detect anything after that.
So that the K2 meters is probably one of the worst. Besides the self sensor, which is the clear one with the
that
red
thing is
top,
horrible.
That's a piece of shit. Don't
That
use
thing is
that at all.
horrible.
But the K2 meter, yes, as you mentioned, all of these, like the Lutron, that's one of the ones I had. The Lutron is one that I had, and I had a couple others. I forget exactly which ones they are. I had one of the Mel meters, which is, again, that's a single axis meter. And then two others that were, again, they were X, Y, and Z axis.
So hang on real quick, Penny. So
Sure.
Jameson, I saw your comment of how dare you, REM pods are good. Look, we're not talking about the crystal pod that Lauren Hellickson built, okay? We're talking about REM pods in general.
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, if you...
It's my son commenting, not my ex, just to let you
Honestly,
know. So
I mean...
he's 8. He might... I'm actually
right.
impressed. No, he loves this stuff. He loves this stuff.
Oh, good. So yeah, the EMF meters are single axis. So if you do not, I wish I had my box of equipment. I totally zoned on this because I have a K2 meter that I put pins in, long. They're like 5-inch pins that come out that go through the machine. So it shows you if you have an EMF meter and you're holding it like this, you need to spin it X, Y,
And Z.
Z. Yeah, this way. Yeah, this way. All three axes just to get an average reading. And that average reading is just in that spot. So if I do it in, like, this is one corner of my office here. If I do it here, that's great. I have a reading for that moment at that time in this corner. But I have to go over to that corner, do the same thing. I have to go to that corner.
You do.
And in the middle of the room.
You have to check all points. And it also depends on the type of lighting that you have, because halogen lighting or tube lighting puts out a completely different EMF reading.
Well, yeah. And depending on how close you are to a source is how big of a field you're going to get.
Exactly.
But it also, we have to understand that the field falls off significantly as you move away. So,
yes.
For example, I don't know if this is going to stretch. All right, yeah, well, so this small desk fan, okay, if I'm right here, if I put a meter right here, it maxes out the Lutron. So over 100 or 200 milligauss, easy. But as soon as I come a foot away, 1 foot away, we lost her. 1 foot away,
it's fine.
It goes down to 0. So this is about where the field stops. And we have to understand that, because even like clock radios, so many people are worried that when you go to sleep, and you have your alarm clock on the end table, and that could be affecting your brain. No, you're too far away. It's just not going to happen. And we can usually see that from the readings. And one more thing before I stop, but I talk a lot. So
Kenny, I know how you are, brother. We're good.
Okay, yeah, you do. You could have that meter. You could have a K2 or other single axis meter right up against a light switch or a wire, an electrical wire in the wall, and get a reading. And if you just do this, that reading can disappear.
It can.
You don't move away. You just turn it. You turn it 90 degrees, and it disappears because it's not capable of reading that the field going in that rotation. Yeah. And when we don't know this, we can go into a room and we can do this. We can go in with a meter. Hold on, let me get my meter. We can go in a room like this for our base readings and then come out, and guess what? You didn't do shit. You didn't, because this reading isn't valid. This reading isn't valid because you didn't measure in all three axes. And again, when you leave, that could be a completely different reading 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, an hour later. So
it can.
One of the things that I recommend is, and this is not practical, this is why we're not going to get good scientific data from 99.99999% of the locations. You have to go into a location, have the entire location set up with not only meters for atmospheric changes, EMF, temperature, humidity,
barometric pressure.
Yeah, all of this, but 24/7 for a year at the minimum, taking about like 100 samples per second.
So you have to gather the data in order to form a hypothesis, because you cannot run a hypothesis without the data.
So you're almost there. You're almost there. You form the hypothesis because the hypothesis is asking a question. That's what it is. Your starting point is your hypothesis.
The if-then method.
I think ghosts somehow manipulate the electromagnetic spectrum. So how do I test this? Let me put EMF meters in this house that has these claims and see if there's anomalies. So the first thing you have to do is set a baseline. And that baseline is that 1 year study. Because when you think about it, think about your own home. Okay? Think about just 1 week. So Sunday to Saturday, think about how many people are in the house during the day, during the night. What time do you all sleep? Are you home during the day? Is anyone home during the day? Do you go to work, school, out for activities, on vacation? The power usage during the day versus the nighttime, the weekday versus the weekend. What's going on? How many devices are attached to the internet? Where's your Wi-Fi? Is your neighbor? Are you in a row home or a duplex or an apartment? What's going on in your neighbor's place? Like how much activity is going on there? Because power usage there, you're sharing walls, you're sharing electrical wires. And if they have the heat all the way up and you don't, you're still going to get radiating heat from the shared wall. So these are all things we have to take into account.
God damn it, Kenny. I want to learn from you, Sensei. I will wax on and wax off.
Dude, I'm constantly learning. Like I am not a master of anything.
No, but I love your mindset.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I love to learn, man. Like this is a complete different me from when I was in school. When I was in grade school and high school, like I didn't give a shit about learning.
So
now that's all I want to do.
To your point, I want to bring this up. What is your opinion on Ouija boards and pendulum boards?
Let's see.
Damn it, I made him pull out a Ouija board. Do you think it's the ideomotor effect, or do you think that there is the plausibility that spirits are contact? Me personally, I believe that I would say 99% is ideomotor effect.
So I have not come across a case that could not be explained by either idiomotor effect
All
or
right, Jameson. Good night, buddy. I love you.
Good night.
or outright hoaxing, deliberate moving.
Okay, so for those of them that are watching that do not know what the idiomotor effect is, it is the micro movements that happen naturally within your body.
Unconscious movements that when you know the answer or you know what to do, you do it from muscle memory.
Yes.
Yeah. And I try to use the analogy of when you're driving a car, all right, you're driving on the highway, you're making micro movements, micro adjustments to the steering wheel.
Not assholes.
Well, most of us are making micro adjustments without realizing it. We're not thinking about it. We're going down the road and we're not thinking, I need to go about a quarter inch to the right. I need to go an inch to the left. I need to do. No, we're not thinking about it. We're just doing it because we know the answer. We had the experience. We've driven around the roads. We know how to handle the car and the turning radius of the steering wheel and all this. So we know by touch, by feel, and we just do it. So
correct.
If you're there, there's a couple things. This is one of the issues with a Ouija board. If you're there with the planchette and a question is asked and you know the answer, you're going to look. You automatically look for the first letter of the word that you want to answer. Yeah. And you might push. You might try to push. And if one person pushes, anyone else is going to do it.
Yeah, because they don't know that person's pushing.
Yes. Yeah. There's just a general idea like, oh, it starts to move. Let's go. I found that in just very informal experiments. I've had people come over to the house that were of the scientific-minded academics, skeptics come over, and we've all tried it, where we found one of the most annoying things, one of the most annoying causes for the planchette to move was fatigue. Because you're constantly holding your arms up and you're trying to keep very light pressure on the planchette, which means there's tension in your arms the entire time. And once you fatigue enough that you drop,
your arm will start to shake.
Yeah. You push the planchette. And everyone just seemed to go with that. It was a fun experiment because we watched it several times.
I've got something I'd like to send to you at some point, Kenny. I have my brother make me another one because he made me one personally. I want to show it to you.
Hey, Bill.
I have a...
Oh, that's cool.
Oh.
I have a board here. It's one of those seance boards with a holder that holds the crystal to completely remove the human aspect as far as shaking your hands or idiomotor effect. And I also have a plexiglass case that goes over the top of this.
Oh, yeah.
How's that connected?
It's connected simply by 3 pieces of wood. It was made of sycamore.
That's what I'm looking at. Like when you take that crystal and hold it up, how's it going through there? No, the other one.
Oh.
The other one. Yeah.
Hang on, I'll show you. I'll take the crystal out.
Okay. All right, so the chain just slips in there.
Yep, it just slips in there and hangs.
That's nice. I like that.
And you can set it up to hold it still. And I have a plexiglass case that goes over the top of this to remove the human aspect and or any kind of draft aspect.
Okay. That's nice. I like that.
You need to market that.
I would love to send you one of these.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I use a pretzel jar one that I made. Clear pretzel jar. You know, after I ate all the pretzels, I was like, "There's a clear jar. What do I do?"
Love it.
Oh, yeah, I can do this. And I'll run in maybe a couple minutes. I'll send you pictures later.
No, if we run like 10 to 15 minutes over, brother, it's fine.
Okay.
But no, I would love to send you one of those because I want to know your opinion. Like I want to know your thoughts on my aspect. My thought is, if you remove the human aspect from the pendulum board, then you're not going to receive as many results as you normally would if you were physically holding it, because you have those micro movements, you have those micro shakes.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I test for. That's why I made the one that I have is very similar to what you have there, except it is a clear plastic jar. The lid's on. There's a hole in the jar or the lid, and there's a clamp. So I put the pendulum chain in the clamp, so you can still hold the end, which it looks like you can still do there.
You can.
hold one
You
end.
can. So if
That was the argument that I got from people using it, that they had to still have physical contact with the end.
so here
yeah,
you have the knot,
that's nice. I like that.
and here you can still hold it, and this has almost half an inch of clearance from the board.
Okay, that's awesome. That's a good job, man.
It
That's
is.
a really good design. I like that.
So if you want one, I have my brother build you one, and I'll send it to you.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll put it in the display cabinet here at the center.
I
You
think
sending me one, Nate?
you're gonna pay me $30. I'm sending it to Kenny for free.
I will
mess-
trade you a month of your subscription to us. Yeah.
No, I'm just messing with you. No, but Kenny, yes, I will have my brother build you one, and I'll make sure you get one. It's custom made for you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
I would love nothing more than for you to test out my theory as far as the human interpretation and interference on these kind of
I
boards.
totally agree. I mean, I made mine. I built mine because there was a pendulum user that challenged me. She said that she could make a pendulum stop swinging dead. Like if it was swinging back and forth, she could make it stop like that. And I was like, all right, you can actually do this from across the room. And she said, yes. I said, all right, I will build something.
So hold on, I'm gonna hit on that comment real quick, Gwen. Can you go back to that
Yeah.
comment?
I'm sorry. Yes, your son is cute. Hold
I
on,
love
I'm
my
going
son
back.
to death. Matter of fact, I told him this was my new space taker. But
Okay, this one, is this the right one?
no one is saying that anybody is right or wrong. Here's the thing. When it comes to the paranormal and your beliefs, your own belief systems, it is completely left up to the interpretation of the person who has said belief system. You can sit there and say, oh, I believe in God. I can sit there and tell you that I don't. Doesn't make me wrong. Just because there's a Bible written doesn't mean that I'm wrong, because the Bible is nothing more than the word of God interpreted by man. So men make mistakes. So in my aspect, no one's saying anyone is right or wrong. You have to take your own beliefs as far as whether or not it be paranormal equipment or whether or not it be your own religious beliefs to your own aspect. No one's right or wrong.
I would add that in it depends on the situation. So I understand, like some people that have claimed to experience God or some other spiritual thing like that, then we're never going to prove that wrong or
No,
right.
typically that comes with near-death experiences.
That's just an untestable claim, and that's what it comes down to. People that have seen Bigfoot, usually that's an untestable claim because it's something that happened in the past and there's nothing to go on.
I've seen Bigfoot twice, but does that mean that I actually saw Bigfoot? No,
Right.
Because I personally question it myself.
But like John, without an H here, says, like, there are cases where we can say something is right or wrong. So when people claim or believe that the earth is flat, we can go up. We have the ability to go up in the atmosphere and see that the world is not flat. We can take pictures from space. So those kind of things, yes, we can say that something's right or wrong. When somebody has an experience and they describe something, like with the equipment that we're talking about, if somebody takes a REM pod and says, well, it lit up, that means it's a ghost.
No,
So
it doesn't.
It doesn't. Is it possible? Yes.
Yes.
But there's other things that can make that light up, and we can demonstrate that over and over.
Walkie-talkies.
So having or presenting a confident conclusion that it lit up, therefore it's a ghost, is wrong. It's objectively wrong because it could be other things. And until you do more tests to narrow down what the cause is, you can't say with confidence and objectivity that that was a ghost. So
I agree with you. And so can I tell you, Kenny, that out of the time that I've been doing my podcast, this is probably
I gotta say real quick, you are the most polite host.
Yes.
Because you're constantly saying, "Can I ask you? Can I say you? It's your show, buddy. You can ask me whatever
no,
you want."
it's not my show, it's your show. I'm highlighting you and what you do.
There you go.
Go ahead, ask what you want, man.
I can tell you that for me, this has probably been one of my favorite shows that I've ever done.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Thank you.
I love the way you think. I love your mindset, and I cannot wait to finally meet you in person at some point. I think that your logic and the way that you do things needs to be closer looked at by the paranormal community, because if they did, then they wouldn't be misled by false evidence.
Right. I agree. I think people need to slow down. They need to understand that this is not. I think there's an initial excitement that this is a
So
hobby.
for the record, when Kenny removes his glasses, he's getting serious.
This is one I hate wearing glasses. These are just readers. I can't.
Kenny, when I put mine on, I'm getting serious. So
Well, I can't read the comments unless I have the glasses on.
You're good, brother. I'm just messing with
I
you.
know. When I don't have, I don't. Anyway, I think there's excitement because everyone can do this. There's no tests. There's no qualifications, certifications. There's no fees to be paid unless you're going to a location that has a fee. Anyone can just jump in and do this. So there's a period of excitement where everyone's gung-ho about getting in there. Let's do this. And they miss the step where we need to learn what the equipment does. We need to learn how to methodically go about an investigation. We need to know how to collect data. We need to know how to preserve evidence and data. Like if you find Bigfoot hair that you think is Bigfoot hair, you need to know how to collect that without contaminating it. You need to know how to store it and preserve it so that you can send it to a lab.
I agree.
All of the stuff, it takes time. Like all this information that we're talking about here and going back and forth, and that I can share experiences with you and my knowledge has been gained over 30 years. I mean, this is 30 years of me learning, making mistakes.
What is Jameson typing?
he's so cute. I can't help it.
Jameson, I love you, buddy, but what is that?
These ain't cats.
Continue, Kenny. I'm sorry.
The cats. But yeah, man, it's just years and years and years of experiences, and it's not just experiences. It's having something happen or being exposed to something and trying to understand it. Having that determination to I want to know how this works. I want to know what it tells me. I want to know how to interpret the results. I also want to know what can affect this outside of what I'm actually testing. And I want to understand it all, even through mistakes. And I'm happy. Mistakes are awesome. I mean, all hail Bob Ross. Happy mistakes.
I was just about to say, Bob Ross always said there was nothing more than a mistake. It was a happy mistake.
Happy little mistakes. That's because you learn from them. And as long as you do learn from them, don't make the same mistake over and over again and be stubborn about it and say, well, I'm just going to do it this way because this is the way we've always done it. That's not progress. You're not learning.
Adapt and learn.
Right. If you learn something new, even if you've been wrong, and I think this is one of the hardest things for many of us is that when you realize that you've been wrong about something for a long time, we're not talking just weeks or months, maybe years, and you realize that you're wrong. Some people, the cognitive dissonance that goes on in their head is overwhelming, and they cannot get over that hurdle.
Agreed.
So they go back to what they're used to, and they continue to do that mistake over and over again, which doesn't help them. It doesn't help the community because they're still putting out bad information, bad data into the community, even though they know better. So admit that that's one of the hardest hurdles that I've got on over the years, is learning to accept my mistakes, and not just accept them and learn from them, but to admit them. So when I get something wrong, especially because I'm so public, I'm out there in the public, I'm doing shows every week, or videos or articles and stuff. And if I get something wrong, you damn well know that I'm going to apologize and own that mistake in public.
And I've seen that.
You have to. You really have to, because my biggest fear in this all is not coming across a ghost. I would love that. My biggest fear is putting out the wrong information. And because then for me, that will crush me, because then I did a disservice to everyone that follows my work, follows my videos and stuff. If they take it and it's wrong, I just screwed up. And my screw up is going to filter down to a lot of people. That's why I always tell everyone, like, check my work. Don't believe me at my word. Just check it. Verify it.
You should never believe anyone at their word. You should always verify the information.
Mm-hmm.
So going into that, Ken, I realize that we've run about 6 minutes over. I don't mind running over. I told you that. I'm here for as long as you want to be here, barring what Gwen wants to go to sleep.
Yeah, Gwen
Gwen rarely sleeps, so we're good.
So I want to, and it wasn't my intention today, but I want to touch on the recreation of the smug puppy videos. Because Jameson's watching, so I'm going to try and watch my language, but I effing hate that platform. They have blocked me because I broke down 4 of their videos and explained them naturally.
Well, yeah. Every one of their videos is for entertainment, right off the bat. I mean, it's to his credit. I gotta say, some of the stuff is creative.
He does a good job.
He does a good job most of the time. Sometimes he does mess up a lot. I mean, especially earlier work, he messed up a lot.
Oh, earlier work, yeah. The earlier work was, I'm not even going to say it was shoddy. It was shitty.
Yeah. But there was one video in particular that you were talking about that involved this bear. This is the portal bear.
Yes.
Because basically they were sitting in the living room and there was a flash of light and you saw that part of the bear hanging from the ceiling, and it looked like there was no bottom part of it, no legs, no belly, nothing. It was on a seam. They had a drop ceiling, so it was on a seam, but later on in the video there's another flash and the bear drops down. There's no cut from the tile or anything like that. So I mean, that's your first thought, is maybe they put a hole in the tile. And granted, they could have changed out the tile. They could have done that. But I searched around. I found a bear that I think is exactly the same. I mean, I don't know because I couldn't compare them.
That's awesome.
But I think this is exactly the same. And one of the things with this, it's really cool. Like, it's a plush bear, but I found that if I did it hard enough, that, wait a minute, here it goes. The legs go up into it, and I was able to.
No shit.
I pinned it up, and I mean, I really worked it so that it was stuffed really good. But yeah, so there's half the bear, and all I did was use some fishing line and safety pins, and I attached it to the ceiling because I had a drop ceiling in my basement, same thing that they had, and that was it. And once it was done, once I got that footage, I mean, the flash came from a camera. They used a camera flash on the side and just shot it. But that meant all of you. So once I got it, the second part from where the rest of it like comes into existence and it drops down, that was kind of easy. I paused the video and then got the legs back out. And all I did,
It's like you're trying to unravel an old school popple.
I know. All I did was do this, stand off to the side, and went that. And as soon as it got to the top, I had the video running, and that's where I cut it. That's where I edited it out. As soon as the thing went to the top, my wife was off to the side. She flashed the camera again, and that was it.
This is exactly why I love this man, and I wanted him on my podcast. And I really want to have you on my podcast again because I feel like there's so much more that we could have discussed that we just didn't have time to get to.
Right.
That's true.
There's always more. There's always more, and that's why my motto is never stop learning, because there's so much out there to learn. And I mean, I guess in closing, to wrap it up, so you guys can go.
Oh no, we're not wrapping up yet.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's fine. You're fine.
Okay. I mean,
I got more questions for you.
All right. Well, hit me. Let's go.
No.
Are you got your normal ending questions?
They're not equipment questions. They're my ending questions. So if you have anything to input before we hit my ending questions,
I would say just don't be afraid to learn. Don't be afraid to ask questions. I think that's one of the things that we have to get over, because questions, when you're not sure about stuff, when you're skeptical, okay, when you don't believe something at face value, and you want to ask a question, most people feel that's confrontational. That's going to cause a problem. You're going to cause a fight. People feel that tension start building in their chest. Well, I'll tell you this. I guarantee 100% that if you don't ask a question, you will never get the answer that you need.
True.
Exactly.
Freaking question. Ask them, how did you do that? I mean, one of my favorite questions, how do you know that? When they tell me a piece of ghost hunting gadget detects ghosts, how do you know that? Explain it to me. Explain it. Yeah. You know, I don't think they do. Maybe they will. That's why I'm asking. Explain it.
You cannot take a spiritual energy and put it into a scientifically controlled environment and achieve repeated results.
We don't know.
That is what is called the scientific method. And until you can do that, then everything that we know about ghosts and ghost hunting equipment will always be theoretical.
All right. So most things will be hypothetical, not theoretical. Theoretical is when you say so we're coming at it from two different perspectives here.
Okay.
From a science point of view, when you use the word theory, that means that something has been looked at, tested, researched, tested again, verified, been published, peer-reviewed, been retested over and over again. Now we have such a large body of evidence that supports this hypothesis that it becomes a theory. And that's why we can say this is a theory. If we're just asking questions, if we're wondering if something will happen or how this might happen, we are hypothesizing. We're putting a hypothesis out there, a question of how this could happen. And that usually comes with an idea. Like, how does this happen? I think it might be this. Let's form an experiment. And then we research. We design an experiment to test it. We test it. It passes or fails. If it fails, we go back to the drawing board. What did we do wrong? You know, what could we do better? If it passes, we double check. Ideally, we do it again to make sure.
Yeah.
We publish the work. We go to a peer-reviewed journal. We have other experts in that similar field, And when I say experts, I mean academics in similar fields, not just fellow ghost hunters. But you have experts review it, give their feedback, and eventually it gets published. Other teams around the world will see that and say, let's replicate that. Let's see if we get the same results. And that's how science works.
I love that outlook. And this is exactly why I wanted you on my podcast.
Yeah. That's in stark contrast to somebody in their garage. And I'm not knocking people in their garage because I build stuff in my garage, but building a ghost hunting gadget in the garage and putting a website up that says this definitely detects ghosts. Here,
It does.
It doesn't. It doesn't. That's not the way this does.
No, it doesn't. And I know it doesn't. You know it doesn't. But let's be honest. People are going to buy it for $160. It took someone $20 to build.
Yeah.
True.
So bad. So bad. I have... I can tell you a story. There's a glow stick over here. I'm going to show you.
A glow stick? You have a glow stick?
I carry glow sticks everywhere. Yeah.
It's not a glow stick, but so this thing.
Oh yeah.
So a friend of mine, a dear friend, saw this at a paranormal conference 2 years ago, and said I wanted it. Now it lights up. I don't know if it works. Does it work? Yeah. Okay, that's loud. And it does light up. You just can't see it. But it's a motion sensor. It's got the passive infrared sensor up top that we talked about earlier. And they spent $120 on this. And I looked at it and I was like, all right, that's PVC pipe. It's an LED light strip. It's a sensor on top. I know what sensor it is. And a box. This is a PVC box. I can get those at Home Depot, no problem. And I begged her, please don't buy it. If you want a motion sensor that looks like this, I can make you one. And I can guarantee I can make it for less. And she bought it anyway because she wanted it. And I mean, hey, she wanted it. But I think it was like a month later, she was kind enough to show me pictures of the bottom inside. I got all the same switches. I got all the same lights. And I built one that was bigger and better.
That's fucking awesome.
And it does the same thing. It has the same exact sensor on the top. Better lights, longer lights, stable base. But everything in the bottom is exactly the same that was in here.
So for anyone out there that was questioning why I had Kenny Biddle on my podcast, this is exactly fucking why.
I love doing this. I love tearing these things apart to see what's inside. I'm looking around to see what else I have. I took everything to the conference I did this weekend. And I was showing off all the devices. And
no worries, brother, because I want to have you back on for another show.
Yeah, absolutely. We can do this again.
And what I would love for you to do is bring out some of the equipment that you replicated.
Okay.
And just tell people this is what you're buying for $150 or $300. Well, guess what? I just built it for $10.
And
yes.
I understand that not everyone has the technical skill to put it together.
No, they don't.
I mean, and that's cool. You can reach out to other people. Some of it, like the REM pod, the Junior Theremin. I mean, it has instructions. It tells you how to put it together. So
it does.
And it is a do-it-yourself project for kids.
Literally.
Understand that. Yeah, it's literally for kids. So it's not for adults. It's not advanced. It's for kids to learn electronics. So all of us, everyone watching, can do it. It's really not that. It's not that hard. So it's a great project too to do with your kid. You know, like put it together.
Jameson, I don't know what you're talking about. For the record, my son currently has full control of my ex's phone. I don't know what he meant by when is it done.
I'm trying to go back and see.
But anyways, it doesn't matter. Kenny, I want to have you back on for another cast if you're willing.
Yes, absolutely.
That'd be great.
I think tonight was a great conversation, and I really hope the people who are watching opened up their eyes to realize that what you're taking as far as when you receive results from paranormal equipment, it shouldn't be taken at face value. It should be, you need to go into a deeper dive and understand exactly what the equipment that you're using does.
Right. Yeah. Understand it. Learn it. If you're not, one of the things that I will be very strict on is that if I show up to like someone else's investigation, if I do investigations, it's on my own usually, or I take people that I do know. If someone brings out a piece of equipment that's still sealed in the box, I will speak up right away and say, nope, put that thing away. You don't know how to use it.
Yes.
You've never taken it out. No, take it home.
If you don't know how to use it, you don't understand the results of what you're receiving.
Right. And you could get false positives. You could set it off yourself. We don't know.
This is exactly why I love you, Kenny. Exactly why I love you.
Oh, man. You flatter me, sir.
I'm not flattering you. I'm telling you that me and you have very similar aspects as to how we think.
All right. What do you got? You have questions. You have ending questions. What do you got?
Yeah, we're going to hit it up. We're at about an hour, 19 minutes. We ran about 19 minutes over. So I always end my podcast with a little bit of a multi-part question.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kenny.
Yes.
You have one list, okay, a bucket list of haunted locations, supposedly haunted, that you would like to visit.
Okay.
What would be the one location on that list that you want to go to?
Wow. I would like to go to Raymond Hall, because that is
in England.
Yes, not the naval county. Raymond Hall, yes, in England.
The Brown Lady of Raynham Hall.
Exactly. I think that would be just awesome experience just to be there, because by far, I think hands down, without argument, that is the most famous ghost photo.
That is bar none my favorite fucking answer I've ever heard.
I just want to go there. I want to go there. I want to see the location. I want to recreate it, because I do have a camera that I can do a glass plate negative on, and I want to recreate that shot.
So, can I give a little bit of backstory why this excites me so much?
Sure.
If I have time.
I'm here. I'm not going nowhere.
So, there was a place in Enterprise, Alabama, back where I used to live, called the Rawls Hotel. And every year they put on a Paracon.
We're going there.
Huh?
I'm going there next week.
You shouldn't.
I just wanted to see it.
But they offered me to go in and do their annual paranormal investigation of the hotel. I didn't mind. I walked into the hotel because I'm always going to do my due diligence. So I did a tour. I wanted to know what I was looking at, where the active locations were. And I turned and I saw a photo on the wall. And they said, well, that's the spirit that was captured here on the staircase. And I was like, yeah, I begged the fucking dick for, that's the Brown Lady of Raynham Hall. And they said, no, it's not. I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. And I pulled up my phone and I Googled it. I'm like, I'm looking at the exact same image.
Wow.
So, yeah, no, I have no interest in entertaining your paranormal exploits for money.
Wow. That's ballsy, dude. To take the most famous photo ever, the most famous ghost photo, like hands down, number one, and try to pass it off as your own.
Oh, they absolutely tried.
That's funny. Oh, that's funny. I wish
Is that why they're out of business now?
Here's the thing. If they had tried that on someone that was less experienced, they might have gotten away with it.
Yeah.
And they did. because they contacted another team that was in the area and they took it on and they were like, oh yeah, no, I'm about the truth.
Wow, that's funny. I so wish I could have seen that, because I'm the same way. I would have recognized it. I've recreated it. I've done it with film, in the way that I think that it was originally created, and I have that on display out here at the center. But I have the original magazines that it was published in when it was first published in the 1930s. I have the original book from the original author that talks about it. I have newspaper clippings going back to the very early 1900s where the story is different. It's not the modern story that we know today. It's a different story, which is great. Seeing the change, the evolution of this ghost story over time. Yeah, that would be where I would go.
When it came down to it, and I questioned them about the brown lady, they were like, oh, well, our hotel has been in operation since 1923. The staircase has changed. I'm like, yeah, the staircase might have changed, but I can promise you this, the picture the brown lady had.
Right. Right.
I can look at this because of my experience in the paranormal and tell you what the fuck that photo is. I know what
been there. That would have been a great experience.
And yeah, so they were like, well, I don't think we need your services for this paranormal investigation. And they hired another group, and I contacted that group via Facebook messages, and they blocked me. So, yeah, there's that.
They're not in business anymore. It's a restaurant. It's a restaurant.
Okay.
Yeah, they are not.
Yeah.
But Kenny, I know we've run a little bit over. We got kind of off on the pig trail there about the brown lady.
Okay.
But man, let me tell you, I greatly appreciate you taking your time to come and talk to me tonight.
Yes.
Absolutely, man.
I love your mindset. I love the way your mind works, and I love what the Center for Inquiry does.
We do a lot of good work here, and I mean, if anyone's interested, we don't do just work in investigating weird stuff. Like, that's my job. I'm the only one here that does that.
It seems fit.
We do a lot. We do a lot more. There's a lot of outreach. We do like some rescue for people that are persecuted for not believing in religion. If they're stuck in their country and they're under threat, we have a program that helps those people get out and get set up in a different area, so they're safe.
Where can people find that program?
So if you do a search for Center for Inquiry, just centerforinquiry.org, I think it is. Just all the programs are listed there. You can look at everything that we do. We do programs like for kids, to get kids interested in science. We have a program called Science Saves, it's a yearly scholarship where kids from grade school and high school can make short videos on how science impacted their lives. And many talk about how parents survived cancer because of science, because of the treatments that brought them in. And it's a beautiful thing. I mean,
I love it.
There's a lot of stuff that we do here that people just don't know about, and that's why I try to do this and get the word out.
And what's the address? Do you know?
So it should be. Let me look it up real quick to make sure.
I was just gonna do a little thing for you.
Yeah, please do.
Or in Query. Let's see. So centerforinquiry.org. So let me do this. I will copy and I will paste it in the private chat. So
there you go. That'll. Yes.
Yeah. There you go. So I just sent the link to you.
So Kenny, if you're interested, I would love to have you back on, maybe in January sometime.
Yeah. And
I love your mindset, man. I love the way you think. And me and you, like I said, I've said it multiple times when you're skeptical help bar things, on TikTok, that we think a lot alike. So I want you to tell people, where can they find you?
So you can find me pretty much anywhere. You
Yeah,
go to
but as far as events and where they can find your podcast, because me and Julie had an issue earlier. I'm like, hey, like I'm trying to contact Kenny. Look, yeah, he's on Tuesdays. I was like, where's the Skeptical Help Bar? She said that's on Fridays. So yeah, we had a little bit of a miscommunication there.
No, so it's partly my fault. This past week has been really busy.
That's fine.
I was going away and all that, so I didn't do a TikTok on Tuesday.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for.
Yeah. So usually at 7 p.m. Eastern time on TikTok, I do a live session for like an hour where I do something like this, where I just come on and answer questions. Unfortunately, the last 2 weeks, my moderator, Julia, who was not able to attend, and I was also backed up with work here because I'm involved with other projects that have nothing to do with the paranormal.
Right.
But I'll be back next week on Tuesday nights on TikTok.
And I'll be there.
I also do a 2-hour version of that on Friday nights on YouTube and Facebook. So you can find me at 8 p.m. Eastern on Friday nights. I do 2 hours. This Friday night, usually my wife sits on the other side of this desk and handles the chat room, but she's going to be away. I have someone filling in, so we're probably going to go like 3 or 4 hours because that's usually what happens. We drink, we have a good time, we talk about science and skepticism and paranormal stuff, and it's a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun. Hey Ben, that's my editor right there. That's my editor
everywhere.
But I do. I have my own video channel where I stream the live streams, but I also have. It's called Ghosts in the Machine. That's my video series for the Center for Inquiry, or actually, the Center for Inquiry is the umbrella organization. I actually work for the branch called the Committee for Skeptical Inquiry. So if you look on their website, their YouTube channel, I'm on there. I write for the magazine Skeptical Inquirer, which is awesome. I'm looking to see if I have I don't even have an issue.
So where could someone subscribe to that magazine? Because I want to.
If you just go on skepticalinquirer.org, you can subscribe. You can subscribe to there. It's pretty cheap. There's 6 issues a year, and I think it's only like $16. I don't know, Ben.
I'm not worried about the price. I just love what you guys do.
It's good. It's good. Besides the paranormal stuff, it gets into other sciences, so you learn a lot. It's a very good magazine overall. It covers a lot of different topics, and I highly promote it. Not just because I work for it, because I do, but it's definitely worth.
You guys do great work.
Let's see here. A full first year, you can get a digital subscription for $17. That's for a year. If you want,
that's not bad.
If you want the magazine, the paper magazine, and a digital subscription, it's $20 a year. That's not bad at all.
It's still not bad.
Yeah, that's not bad. So subscribe because it helps me out. It helps.
No, you know what, Kenny? I can promise you this. I will subscribe to it next week. I can't do it right now because, I don't get paid till Wednesday. Thursday.
That's all right, man.
But let me ask you. I know we've run about 30 minutes over. I'm a time Nazi. I try to keep my
time Nazi.
So I have a multi-part question for you that I like to ask at the end of every single podcast.
Okay.
Number 1, you had to choose a bucket list location that you think, given your skeptical mind, that could be haunted. Where are you going?
That could be haunted? Wow. Shit. I don't know. I really don't know.
That's the best response I've ever heard.
I can't think of a place that I think would be haunted.
That's the best response I've ever fucking heard.
It's not. I mean, all the cases that I do, there are logical reasons, or there's not enough information to make a determination.
Okay, so let's do it this way then. We're gonna modify it. If you remove the logical explanations and or any kind of outstanding outside interference, if you had a place that you just heard a rumor of being haunted without knowing anything else, what place would you choose?
Oh, man, you're killing me, Smalls.
Killing you, Smalls, I am.
Let's see. What would be a place that I would want to go? I've been to most of the places that I would like to go.
It could be overseas. It could be anywhere.
Yeah, I think I probably definitely would want to. Oh, you know what? What is that? What is I would be interested in going to 30 East Drive, which is I believe the Enfield.
Yes, the Enfield House.
I mean, I don't think it's haunted. I really don't, but it's
I don't either.
one of the places that are well known, and I'd like to get there. You know, like there's so many places that are famous for being haunted. I have been there, but that's one of the places I haven't been. So I'd love to be able to.
Okay, so we got 30 East Drive. Now, if you could choose one person, dead or alive, they do not have to be involved in the paranormal field. Who are you taking with you to investigate said location?
Houdini.
I love that answer because Harry Houdini was a forefront in disproving the Fox sisters.
Yeah, I mean Houdini was. I love his career. I love the way he approached things. I love just his methodology. I would take him, and he had such a knowledge of trickery that I wouldn't. I mean, I would just like to have him along. That's it. I mean, I don't think there's any reason to have him along, except I want to hang out with Houdini.
Can I tell you a secret?
Who doesn't? Yeah.
That every time that anyone's ever asked me that question, my answer was Harry Houdini.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, absolutely. I mean, if we're, that's like the dream. Okay, so that's definitely the dream choice. If we take it down a notch to reality, then some of the people that I do know already, like Ben Radford, he is my editor. He's in the chat. I've been to a place with him. We've been to the Hinsdale House.
Please tell Ben to send me a friend request because I don't know who he is.
Yeah, he's been doing this for many years as well. He's written about a lot of famous places, about a lot of ghost stories and stuff like that. And we've collaborated on several things together. Very knowledgeable person, very good guy to work with. And if I go to a location that I know he can come along, I will certainly have him. And it'd be great. Like I said, we have checked out a couple places already, and hopefully we will have many more. But he's in New Mexico, so we don't really have a lot of opportunities to work together.
Right.
But we do work on articles together and stuff like that. We go back and forth and give each other ideas and hints and stuff like that. But yeah,
I can tell you, I love that answer. Like Harry Houdini, that is like my top tier person I want next to Hans Halser. So you hit that button. So we got the location, we got the person.
yes.
If you could choose one piece of equipment to bring with you, what piece of equipment are you bringing and why?
There you go. Now it's one piece.
Yes. A notebook and fucking paper.
That's it. That's what I need. That's because I can take all my notes on there if I'm down to one thing that I can bring. Like, yeah, I can take a camera with me and take pictures of certain things. That's great, but I can't write down measurements. I can't write down notes, little things that I notice. I want to be able to take all these notes. These are some of the most important things. Like I showed you guys, like I have notebooks upon notebooks. When I do notebooks, I have everything. Pictures that I put in there, notes, Post-it notes that attach onto it, all this stuff. And I photocopy these when I'm done with a case, I photocopy it. It goes into the file, the physical file that I have, along with a CD, because I still have CDs and DVDs that I burn with all the.
I still use 3.5-inch floppies.
I have zip drives. I have 5.25-inch floppies.
I have a digital camera that takes 3.5-inch floppy, so I have no choice but to use them.
I have the Sony Mavicus. Yeah.
Yes.
I have 4 of them, I think. 4 or 5 of them now.
Yeah, the whole fucking whopping 6 pictures.
Yep.
Yeah, but they're decent quality. But Kenny, I know I've held you up about like 30 minutes over what our time frame was.
Man.
But I'm gonna go ahead, jump up the podcast if you wouldn't mind. Stick around for like 5 or 10 minutes. Gwen's got some closing ads. I got some questions for you after the podcast.
Okay.
But everyone who tuned in and watched, we greatly appreciate you. And let me tell you something. If you've not learned anything from this podcast, take away the fact that you need to use critical thinking when you're looking at paranormal evidence.
Yes.
Because what you may see at face value is not what is actually what you're receiving as evidence.
Never stop learning.
Never stop learning.
Never stop learning. That's great.
But this was the Paranormal Unveiled podcast with my guest, Kenny Biddle. And Kenny, once again, thank you so much for coming on. Just hang on for like 3 minutes. And
let me play a few commercials for the cons that we're going to.
Absolutely.
I'm going to get them in a second. So
Join
sorry,
us
guys.
for the Paranormal Rockdown. We kick off the event Friday, July 18th from 4 p.m. to 11 p.m. at Main Street Music in Brooklyn, Wisconsin, where we feature bands Left on Red, Switchblade Saturdays, Etched in Embers, Fiction We Create, January, Again We Rise, and our headliner, Green Jelly. Saturday, July 19th, starting at 11 a.m. at Broadhead Manor in Broadhead, Wisconsin, we have our Paracon featuring Dave Schrader, Sam Beltrusis, Scotty Rourke, Dustin Perry via Zoom, Sarah Lamos, Nick Simons, Kenneth Drake, Stream Beacon TV, Dark Realm TV, and over 30 more great guests you won't want to miss. We have over 40 vendors, speakers, workshops, gallery readings, and so much more. A special thank you goes out to each of our sponsors. Get your tickets before they sell out at paranormalrockdown.com, and we hope to see you at the Paranormal Rockdown.
Welcome to the Savannah Paranormal Museum. Where history and horror cross paths. Join us May 1st to see what's dying to meet you.